All right, well, number 34 is gonna suck. There's really nothing we can do about this. It's huge sentences. It's just a mess. Now, we have to read each one, and it's hard to pinpoint what we're looking for. But remember that this has an actual question. So this is an ideas question. Grammar and style may creep in a little bit, but mostly we're focusing on making sure that the ideas in these two sentences are conveyed in a kind of logical, correct way. So that's our focus. Now, I don't really read the sentences as presented in the paragraph because I don't find it very helpful. You can, it doesn't really slow you down that much, but I'm just going to dive right into the choices here. Number 34A. In an effort to make their characters and stories fresh and relevant for new audiences, popular film franchises, which are often rebooted, are similar to superhero comic books, which are periodically reworked to try to increase their appeal to contemporary readers. Ooh, I got a little lost in that, and I think the reason is that there's a lot of clauses moving around, right? So here's a comma, here's a comma, here's a comma, here's a comma. There's two which clauses. It just feels kind of like I'm not kind of moving smoothly through this set of ideas, that I'm jumping back and forth a lot. These interruptions are kind of getting in the way. So it's not great. It may be what I need to pick, but right off the bat, the fact that there was a little confusion when I read it is not a good sign. That probably means that the sentence could be worded better so that I'm less confused. Let's look at B. Just as popular film franchises are often rebooted in an effort to make their characters and stories fresh and relevant for new audiences, superhero comic books are periodically reworked to try to increase their appeal to contemporary readers. Well, it's a little better. There's only one transition in the sentence, right? One move from the idea to the next. That's a little bit better. It's still kind of weird. I don't love this just as. This is kind of strange. And maybe it's just that there's so many words, but I'm still a little confused. Let's keep going and see where we end up with this one. Choice C. Superhero comic books are periodically reworked to try to increase their appeal to contemporary readers, while popular film franchises are often rebooted in an effort to make their characters and stories fresh and relevant for new audiences. Well, that's a little bit clearer. I like that there's still only one comma, but this choice has a problem with the word while. We often use this word to make a contrast, but while is a word that is used for time. So what we're saying here is that during the time that superhero comic books are reworked, at that exact same time, popular film franchises are rebooted. Like as if there's a schedule and those two things are falling at 2 p.m. on a Friday. Like, that's not what we mean. And so this word while, it might not stick out to you, but it's worth noting. It can cause problems on a lot of these combined sentences questions. We think we're making a contrast, but the way it's reading is really more about like saying that two things are happening simultaneously, and that is not the way that we want to convey these two ideas. So that's not great. Let's keep looking. D. Superhero comic books are much like popular film franchises in being often rebooted in an effort to make their characters and stories fresh and relevant for new audiences and periodically reworked to try to increase their appeal to contemporary readers. Well, that has 0 commas, no kind of like idea transitions, but that word being I underline because we've seen in another question in this test that being is a problem for these combined sentences questions. It's almost always a sign that the choice is wrong because it kind of adds more words and confuses things. It's mostly bad style. So this is a problem. So if I were down to B and C here, I really want to think about what I'm trying to do. Even if we ignore the word while as like a time word, while the way we use it is still kind of a contrast. Whereas in choice B, they're trying to show a similarity. And that's really what these sentences are trying to do, is to compare the way that we reboot franchises of films to the way that comic books are reworked. They're trying to say that those two things are similar, are analogous, and so a word like while is going to undermine that meaning. It makes it seem like those things are different when we really want to say that they're the same. This is a very tough question. If you had trouble with this, Duh, like, of course you had trouble with this. This is what they wanted. There's a lot of words. It's hard to kind of figure out what's going on. But do the best you can. Take a guess. Kind of go by feel, if nothing else, and then move on. Don't waste too much time on a question like this. There are still another 10 in this section, many of which can be answered very quickly. So don't run out of time because you got fixated on this kind of stupid question. There's way more points coming.